Good evening. Welcome to the City of Burnsville's May Parks and Natural Resources Commission meeting. The first order of business will be the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have some comments with regards to the agenda for tonight? Seeing none, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. The second order of business is the approval for minutes from April 23rd, 2018. Does anybody have any additional items or anything they want to address with the minutes from the last meeting? JJ?
Nothing from staff.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The third order of business is citizens' comments. Does anybody have anything to come up to the podium and speak to?
My name is Mike Hughes, and I'm a board member with the Crystal Lake Improvement Association. And we made a request that the city would move the buoys in the swimming area at Crystal Lake Beach so that it would accommodate boats landing at the beach there, so that people from the boats would be able to use the bathrooms or to use the concession stand at the beach. I came tonight to answer any questions about our request. So I'm not sure what the rules of order are here. Should I do that now or wait until you get to that?
That will be the next item.
Okay.
So thank you for coming,
Sure.
though, and we appreciate your input. Is there anybody else that wants to address the commission? Very good. We'll move on to item number 4, and it's the Crystal Beach Park swim area modifications. Presenting is Jeff Radick, Assistant Public Works Director.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. Jeff Radick, Assistant Public Works Director. This will be just a short presentation of the work we have gone through with Crystal Lake Improvement Association on their request, as Mike described. In February, staff received a request from the Crystal Lake Improvement Association to allow motorized boats access to Crystal Beach. Basically, as Mike described, for access to the park from alternative methods and means of transportation, so they can use the bathroom, the concession stand, the play equipment while people are out on their boats. If you're unfamiliar with the Crystal Lake Improvement Association, founded in 1962, they have a mission statement to improve the water quality, value, and enjoyment of living on Crystal Lake by engaging the resources of our community and beyond in pursuit of responsible solutions to our members' stated concerns. They are a frequent partner, city partner on anything lake-related and a lot of water quality things consisting with Crystal Beach. They do have a consistent membership of about 65% of the lake shore owners around the lake. In February, March, after receiving the request from the association, staff did a historical document search and a process review. It's pretty clear we are trying to exclude use of the beach by motorized boats, but it was unclear to staff where that original direction came from. As you may remember, the Crystal Beach Park was the original park on the lake. It had the boat access and the swimming beach all in one location before the boat access was moved across the lake. I think at that time, my best guess and staff's best guess is at that time to kind of enforce the use of that new boat ramp on the west side of the lake that we buoyed off the entire property of Crystal Beach Park. Basically to force that movement so that all the boats use that access. Then we did an informal survey of the surrounding communities that did have beaches, and the motorized boat interaction, if they allow it or do not allow it. Generally, it is allowed, and we had no reported significant issues with other communities. Also, other communities patrolled by Dakota County Water Patrol. At that time, we informed the Crystal Lake Improvement Association. There was some history to our processes, but we were willing to revisit the issue upon a formal request. At that March board meeting, they unanimously moved to make a formal request to the city. In March and April, staff developed what we could do to accommodate the request with the least impact on other beach users. We will get to it here. As you see, the red area is the swimming ropes, existing and proposed. We are not proposing to change those at all. That is the majority of where the swimming happens, is within the roped area. Within the green area is what we have buoyed off as a swimming area / no motorized boat area. As you can see, it kind of follows the property lines, and I think that's how we originally set it out to make sure the park had no access to motorized boats or via motorized boats. So the green area kind of follows the extended property lines out into the lake for a number of 200 feet or so from the beach, and encompasses all the property. As you may be aware, there is a canoe ramp up in the north and west area of Crystal Beach Park. If we were going to give an area for motorized boat access, that is where we would do it. So the blue line is basically what staff is proposing. We shrink the buoyed area off and basically cut it short on the northwest side of the beach. So boats could have access on that northwest corner of the beach. As you can see, if you take basically the major sand area right in front of the building, that is the majority of the beach that is used for swimming and sunbathing and water interaction. As you go north and west from there, it is basically just used for that canoe access. Not a lot of people do use that as beach purposes or swimming purposes, but it is buoyed off for that purpose. So technically it would be a violation if boats were in that area. And sometimes it occasionally gets used by the person that does want to be away from the crowd and things like that, but it wouldn't have significant impact on beach operations, I guess, or as the way the beach functions. So we shared this with the Crystal Lake Improvement Association, and they shared this at their annual meeting with their membership. Did receive positive feedback from their membership, and the final step is to go before the commission tonight and ask if you would like us to make these changes or if we'd stay with the current layout as it exists. I guess in summary, basically, there obviously was some intention of us to exclude boats at one time, but staff doesn't believe it's absolutely necessary at this time. We can easily make the accommodation. We just basically need to need to have an okay, because we don't know where the original direction came from, so.
Okay.
Commissioners, it's also important to note that the timing of this is important. Our park staff is anxious to get the buoys out into the water at whichever direction you provide. But it's important to get those out because, as you know, people will be out in the water very, very soon.
Just a question, when the canoes were being launched from there, did they kind of have to go over or under the buoys to get out?
The buoys are not connected by ropes on the green line.
Okay,
They are just buoys set every about 50 feet. The swimming ropes are, there's ropes in between those ropes.
I guess I have a little bit of a safety concern. I've been on the lake for 20 years, and I don't know if you guys discussed this at the meeting, but it doesn't show in the picture, but like right there is the island, Picnic Island. And the space between the main beach and Picnic Island is not, I don't know what the distance is, but on busy days in the summer, you got 2 or 3 boats trying to pull skiers, tubers, and then you got pontoons on the side. And I'm just a little worried with boats at a different speed coming out, and I'm wondering if you looked into any safety concerns in that area.
We don't typically deal with boats on the water. We usually leave that to Dakota County Water Patrol.
Did you speak with them at all?
I did not, but we definitely can have a conversation with them.
And just a second comment, I guess. I know that was originally when I moved to the lake, and I was told that Cherry Beach was kind of there for that purpose, for boats to come up, come to shore. I'm wondering if it, as an option, we could also look at maybe adding a few more picnic tables or whatever to the Cherry Beach area, if it is a safety issue.
does Burnsville post any no-wake buoys in that area?
Not in this area. The no-wake buoys are between the Isthmus and, what is that park there, JJ?
Tyak Park?
Tyak Park. We do have shallow water, no-wake buoys.
So would it be possible to put some no-wake buoys in that area to address the commissioner's concern?
I believe the agreement for the lake is basically it has a counterclockwise cruising way for boats. If we were to put no wakes between the Crystal Beach and Picnic Island, it would basically exclude how the lake currently operates for cruising and water skiing.
Can I join the discussion?
Please come up to podium.
If I understand correctly, there's a concern about people between Picnic Island and the beach?
Yes.
Okay, we did discuss that
Good.
at the meeting, the Lake Association meeting at length, actually. And the concern was about people trying to swim from the beach out to the island and back, which is a very dangerous thing to do. If I'm not mistaken, there are signs posted, both at the beach and on Picnic Island, prohibiting that.
It occurs every summer, even with the signs.
I mean,
No, I know,
What
I know.
can we do?
Not much. But no, I'm just saying, it's so congested right in that area that I'm a little concerned. That's just my opinion.
and then you also asked about Cherry Beach. Cherry Beach doesn't have a concession stand or bathrooms.
Any other questions, comments? I'll take a moment to speak about this. And this is my #1 park I visit. I live about a mile from here. I walk through here. My kids swam here. Very familiar with the area. I went down there this morning, take a second look after I read the proposal. And as I look at this, there's pros and cons to everything. And Crystal Lake Beach is a well-used park, and this would even increase and maximize the use of the park. And I think that, that's on the pro side. It also would help with parking in the boat dock. I've been at Antler Park in Lakeville, and what kind of the deal is they'll go to the boat launch, the boat owner, he'll load up, he'll get his boat on the water, he'll go over to the beach where they can at Antler Beach in Lakeville, they can come up and shore, and that's where everybody loads on. Their coolers and different things like that. So it will help with parking at the boat ramp. The bathrooms, picnic tables, I think that's a great idea. But there are some concerns I have. Safety is one. That area is not used a lot, but there's fishermen there every day. It's several people fishing in that area every day, so that would decrease their use of that area. I would, based on my observations with Antler Beach, it's gonna kind of increase the alcohol use in that area. It's kind of creates a party atmosphere is what I've observed. I'm not in different communities, but I'm assuming that would be. And then there's potential for, some additional maintenance with garbage and different things down there. It's an interesting proposal. One of the things, I guess I do have one question, Jeff, and you may have mentioned this, but so we have the Lake Association, but if we talk to park users about what are their thoughts, talk to the fishermen. I realize it's a rush, we gotta make some decisions, but this is kind of a big change for this area, and it's a well-used park. And
Well, to answer your question, no, this was a very quick spring. So it's not like we had the proposal in front of us and the fishermen were actually there that we could talk to them. So we have not talked to any parks users at this time about the proposal.
Okay.
I think, share your concerns. If it may be rushed, the option may be just to go with the existing layout and direct staff to continue to work, and get you some more feedback.
I guess I have a suggestion, and I don't know how this works in terms of the ordinances or whatever is mandating the buoys. It sounds like maybe nothing except for park direction. Is there an opportunity to just try it this summer, and then at the end of the summer, have a conversation again about whether or not it worked well for the Crystal Lake Association, if it worked well for park users? I mean, sometimes these types of things you can't really tell what they're gonna look like until after you try it in a particular area. It sounds like there's some interest, but then it also sounds like there's another subset of people it might be impacting. And depending upon how permanent our decision is, would there be an opportunity to give it a try for a summer and then go back and make an assessment whether or not it would make sense to continue that same kind of interpretation or go back to the original proposed buoys? It doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of cost difference. It's where you put the extra buoys or not, if that's what I'm understanding.
From a perspective of gathering information from maybe those park users that are already at the beach or coming to the beach, or those people that are there to fish, starting in a week or so, we are opening the concession stand and restroom building, so we have an attendant on site. We could very easily put together some type of questionnaire that they could gather or take in throughout the summer or throughout the first month or sporadically, however we choose to do it, to gather that information one way or the other, whether or not you set the buoys to the new standard as shown here, or begin the other way and request their feedback before moving the buoys to the more narrow dimension. Either way would be fine. There would be a means to gather the information on site here at Crystal Lake Beach.
And I guess Parks Maintenance has no concern about a 1-year sunset. We can do it with a 1-year sunset and come back to you before next spring and tell you how it worked. So
That's a good idea. I think the Lake Association, speak for the Lake Association, agrees with that, to do this as an experiment.
I would agree with that. That makes a lot of sense.
So JJ, do we vote? Were we looking to vote on this tonight?
Commissioners, I believe that Mr. Radick is here, looking for that direction tonight, or looking for your feedback tonight. And if it is that, to go ahead and try the new buoy system, the more narrow system, that's fine. If it's to try the new system and collect information during the summer, we can do that too.
We're gonna have to have several signs outlining what the boat area is and,
It will be signed accordingly, I'm sure, as it has been in the past.
Obviously, yeah, where it is now, boat access, we will have to put a sign up there.
I just want a little clarification also. Based on what you were mentioning, are we going to allow more boats? 'Cause I think right now it's like 17 boats or something onto the lake based on the lots at where they put the boats in. So are we saying they're going to be able to put their boat in over there and then park at the Crystal Lake Beach lot? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, the Crystal Lake Beach parking lot is signed no vehicles with trailers.
Okay, thanks.
And
So there won't
is
be an
Lac La-
increased boats?
Yeah, so is Lac Lavon Drive and some of the other streets around the boat ramp. Is it possible still that people would offload their boat and meet people just for ease of parking that aren't the boat owner? It could be possible.
I might have a question, actually, if there's any time for that.
Please approach the podium.
I just found it interesting. I didn't come here for this topic, but I use that lake. I put my boat in there. I've gone to the beach. Some of my friends have used Picnic Island for other things than just having a picnic, because there's no bathroom. So, but I'm wondering several things. One is, in this new proposal, you're going to put a dock, because I'm experienced with prior, and there's like one dock, but it's busy, and everybody's like lining them up, and the wind's blowing, they're going sideways, and they're smacking each other, and people are all in there with their sandals, and they're kicking up the mud, and, dealing with a bunch of that. But I'm wondering if there's going to be a dock, so that it can be kind of orderly, so you can have your thing tied up. And then when you said something about the 17 parking spaces at the ramp, the last thing I want to see happen is people coming in, because they're going to go to a volleyball game, but they're going to bring their boat in case they want to take people for a ride and take up that spot all day. There's nothing worse than for me to bring my boat and there's no place to launch. That's an issue. And I think they have a porta potty there at the ramp, but you can't go back there and use it because there's only one dock. The ramp is a dual ramp, and there's a dock on one side where there should be a dock on both sides for each party to use. And then maybe if you want to come back, tie up, go use the restroom, you can. But with one dock, which is insufficient because the ramp is a dual ramp, you can't go back and use that. So you go to Picnic Island. So, and then when you go to the beach with the boat, are you going to have places to tie up the boat? You pull the boat up and you got to hold it tight and maybe tie up the back because there's a wind issue. And then how many boats do you allow there? Because the wind will kick up and they start breaking off skags and you'll start chipping your props and you're going to have a little bit of that going on there. Is it rocky? Is it sand? Is it gravel? What's the composite of the bottom? Because that's also an issue when people from the motor only try to back out of there. But my main concern is I think you should put another dock. I think you should have the bathrooms, and I think access to that other park is good if that's a way to have more restrooms. The snack bar, whatever. But, so the tying up, the composition, how do you keep your boats in line without damaging other ones? And having access to the bathrooms at the actual ramp, that requires another dock. Because you've got a 2-ramp system, but you can only use on one side. And when people have to come around, it's a nightmare.
Is there a restroom at Cherry Beach? I know there is up in the parking lot, but not down below.
Not down below.
Okay.
So if you are gonna do it, I think it's a good idea if you want access to the bathrooms. But if you're gonna do it, you should probably do it right and put a dock. You need a dock on both ends. You need another dock at the ramp, and you need another dock if you're gonna create a boat place. You know, any place on Minnetonka, there's no places where you just tie up and let the boats willy-nilly in the wind.
I
But
can answer that question. Last year, we did ask the city about a dock, but there was no budget for it. So this is our plan B. And I think you forgot to identify yourself.
Michael Beckler.
Thank you, Michael.
As stated, I have heard the request for a dock at the location beforehand. As it's been explained to the association, we do not have, as a city, budgeted money for a commercial dock system, which is quite expensive. This is simply a request to allow access to pull up onto the sand beach.
So could we ask Mike, has that been thought of in terms of people just want to pull their boats up onto the sand? And are they concerned about how they could tie them off? Are they concerned about them moving in the breeze?
That is the plan, that people would beach their boats, and it's up to them, it's up to them to make sure their boat doesn't float away or that nothing dangerous happens.
Okay.
I guess I just don't want to let it slip that one of my biggest concerns would be people taking their boat, taking up one of the 17 spots, and then go hang out at the beach all day. That's not a beach for boaters, that's a beach for people that want to play in the water.
And that is commonplace at Antlers Park in Lakeville. It's
Yep.
exactly what
And
they
I
do.
have problems with all them parking spots they got there, sometimes that's an issue. But Crystal's got a small parking, very small. If anything, you should be talking about enlarging that whole thing. You're increasing one thing by bringing more boats and parking them on the beach, but you gotta increase the parking to do that. It's like adding onto a restaurant, you gotta increase the parking lot. There's a math formula for all that. You can't have one without the other.
So are you suggesting that we expand the parking lot at the boat launch?
I would like that. I mean, if you're gonna expand parking on the lake for boats, you need to expand the parking for the cars and the trailers. Otherwise, the people that wanna go there and fish, they're getting the short end of the stick.
If I'm not mistaken, the reason for the size of the parking lot at the public boat launch is to control the number of boats that are on the lake. So if we expand that, we allow more boats on the lake, which throws things a little off balance possibly.
I mean, looking at the geography of the situation, I can't see that a lot of people are gonna wanna park in the parking lot and then lug coolers and everything off to that location just to fill their boats up. I mean, that might happen occasionally, but it doesn't look like that would be a prime reason for parking there and then filling your boat up from that spot.
I don't think it's gonna happen as much here as it maybe does in Lakeville.
If it does, the experiment failed and we don't do this again.
So I would like to make a motion to approve this with the understanding that we would revisit in a year. So essentially sunsetting the policy change next year before the boating season and relooking at it at that point in time.
And include surveying the
I-
people.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, because if this ends up being a real concern, I mean, it's gonna backfire, and so we need to have that option to sunset if necessary.
Do you have a warehouse full of extra docks where you could put another one in the dual ramp area, and maybe add a second at the beach?
No, as I understand, the current dock system at the boat launch is in the $25,000 range, for a commercial dock system, so.
I kind of feel that it almost should be looked at a little closer and then approved myself. So maybe we just need a vote, and
So
there seems to be a lot of unanswered questions yet.
there are. So the original motion, I believe, is, do we approve the modification as proposed in this drawing, was our original task, I guess. But I'm getting a sense that there are other commissioners that may want another motion, and I don't know the, kind of how we go about this, JJ. If you
Chair.
can go.
Chair Ullery, at this point, commissioners, you can, so far, Ms. Newman has made a motion. We're waiting on a second.
A second.
If there is, now there's time for discussion, or if you want to take that to a vote.
Or
you can.
additional amendments.
Or additional amendments to the motion, and as I understand the motion, it's to reduce the buoyed area, continued study during the course of the summer, and review upon completion of the boating season. If somebody wishes to amend that, you are welcome to. Take your vote. If it is passed, we'll move forward in that direction. If it does not pass with a simple majority, it will stay the same as it currently exists.
Okay, do we have a second?
We have a
I-
second,
I have a
Jim.
second.
Can I make one more comment before I roll back?
Go ahead.
Just to keep in focus that I think probably the number one goal is to keep the urine and everything out of the lake and keep the lake clean.
What was that word?
Which
Keep
word?
what out of the lake?
Keep the urine out of the lake. That's why you want to have access to the bathrooms. Right?
That's
I don't know
one
what
of
else you do there, I
That's-
mean, you do, but,
one of the reasons I hadn't thought of it quite like that, but that's one of the
Well, I've seen a lot of
ability to
urine on
use
the
the
lake.
bathrooms at the Crystal Beach was one of our goals.
right, I mean, and that's a great goal. And I think that's another way to do it, because you can't go back with one dock, and I think 25,000 is cheap, because it's an expensive ramp, and I think you need two docks. And that would help that too. So I think that's one of the main focuses. But I was just thinking of, what I said about losing the spots in the parking ramp, because they want to go hang out at the beach. Maybe if you're gonna do this on an experiment, maybe you have 20-minute parking for boats. If you're gonna get off and go get some chips and use the restroom, 20 minutes is enough. You don't need to go play volleyball. Is that a good idea?
I don't think so.
Well, do you want boats to go there and like spend the afternoon, or?
But that means you have to enforce a 20-minute parking law.
And the attendant won't do that.
No, the police would have to do that.
Our attendant at Crystal Lake Beach would not have that authority and or ability to do that. It's, you're asking a high school student to take on that task. I don't think that would work very well.
Okay, any more comments? Questions? So we have a motion and a second, and those in favor of this motion,
Aye.
Aye.
those not in favor? Aye.
Aye. Nay,
So
I guess.
moved. It's passed.
Pass 3-2.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Okay, that leads us to our last item of business, and that's miscellaneous. JJ, do you have anything to add?
Commissioners, our next commission meeting, we have a short turnaround. Our next commission meeting is scheduled for June 4th. At that meeting, we have some regular routine items scheduled, I think deer management and water quality. And then I'll have a chance to remind folks at that meeting as well, but I would hate to miss an opportunity to once again promote the June 9th Nature Play Area grand opening at Terrace Oaks East and from 3 to 5 p.m. So commissioners, we've been working on that and we'll continue to do that. We have a little bit more time to finalize those plans so that we can create a wonderful grand opening event, and we will continue to do that.
Very good. And I just want to say, this will be my last meeting. I'm in the process, I closed on a new house in Minneapolis in 9 days. But I've been doing this for 5 years, and just, I think we started at about the same time, JJ. And thank you for all your help, and it's really been I've enjoyed this role, and you guys all have a great opportunity to make a difference in Burnsville, and so really glad I got a chance to do this.
And the city thanks you for your service. Very much appreciated.
Thank you. And the last order of business is the adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That ends the City of Burnsville Parks and Natural Resource meeting for May.